Eating shrimp in the Bible. Did you know that shrimp is not mentioned in the Bible? In fact, they are one of the types of seafood that are specifically mentioned not to eat of in the scriptures. Let's take a look at what the Bible has to say about shrimp. We will look at it from the Old Testament view and also the New Testament view. Shrimp in the Bible. It is a common assumption that since the Bible was written thousands of years ago, people back then knew very little about the world around them. As a result, they made many errors in their writing. But this assumption is simply not true. In fact, the Bible is full of accurate information about all sorts of topics, including marine life. One example of this can be found in the references to shrimp throughout Scripture. The first mention of shrimp in the Bible comes in Leviticus 11:9-12, Old Testament law, where God lists animals, living things, that are clean and unclean for eating. Among the animals that are considered clean and fit for human consumption is shrimp. This is significant because it means that God Himself declared shrimp to be food for His people. Bible verses about shrimp: Lev 11:9-12, Jude 14:9, Lev 11:12, Lev 11:10, Lev 11:1-47, Romans 14:1-23, Mark 7:18-19, James 1:5-6. The strange and bizarre law that forbids eating shrimp in the book of Leviticus. There are a lot of laws that seem strange to us today. For example, there is a law that forbids eating shrimp. Yes, that's right, shrimp. Why in the world would God forbid His people from eating shrimp? Let's take a closer look at this bizarre law and see if we can figure it out. When we think of law, we think of man-made rules and regulations that we are required to obey. However, in the Old Testament, the word law refers to God's instructions for His people. These instructions are given for our good and for His glory. With that in mind, let's take a look at the specific law that forbids eating shrimp. This law is found in Leviticus 11:9-12. In these verses, God lists a number of animals that His people are not to eat. Included in this list are shrimp, crabs, and lobsters. So, why would God forbid His people from eating these particular animals? They are forbidden using this language. Swarming thing, unclean food whatsoever hath fins were okay. Dietary laws. Jewish food laws listed in dietary restrictions coming from water of the seas found in the Mosaic Law. Law of Moses. Jewish tradition. King James Version. Well, one possibility is that God was simply trying to protect His people from harmful bacteria and other diseases that could be found in seafood. After all, in those days there was no such thing as refrigeration or other means of preserving seafood. As a result, seafood often went bad very quickly and was often teeming with harmful bacteria. Another possibility is that God was trying to protect His people from being contaminated by pagan practices. In those days, many pagans worshipped idols in the form of sea creatures like crabs and lobsters. By prohibiting His people from eating these animals, God was protecting them from being contaminated by pagan practices. Why did God forbid eating shrimp in the Bible? There are a lot of things in the Bible that God commands us not to do. Some of these things, like murder, are pretty obvious. But other things, like eating shrimp, aren't quite so clear. Father, grandfather, minister, missionary, deacon, elder, author, welcome to our family. View all posts.